Risk of Rain 2, a third-person action roguelike that supports 1 to 4 players, and the game I recently 100%ed. Hey guys, Matt here, and today we're going to be talking about Risk of Rain 2. After pouring hundreds of hours into this game, as well as unlocking every single achievement, I think I'm finally ready to talk about this game. So grab those lunar coins, fully stack crit goggles, and let's get into this. Right after I grab a stand for this mic, because I don't think I'm going to be able to hold it the entire time. Alright, so in Risk Rain 2, your main goal for each stage is to kill aliens while locating a teleporter that is on a randomized part of the stage. Once you find and activate the teleporter, you'll need to defend yourself against an onslaught of enemies as well as bosses until the teleporter is fully charged up. Each enemy drops XP as well as cold hard cash whenever you kill them. Those glowing orbs of XP level up your survivor as well as increase their base damage and max health ever so slightly. That sweet cash you pick up can be used to buy drones that can heal you or attack enemies. You can also use it on a Shrine of Chance or chests scattered throughout the stages, which will drop randomized items, which we will get into later. However, you don't want to spend too much time shopping around, otherwise the timer will go up. And if the timer goes up, so does the difficulty. One thing to note, any money you don't spend on the stage you're currently on, it will be converted into XP right before you move on to the next stage. You cannot carry money over to the next stage. You'll repeat this process 4 times through somewhat randomized stages until you reach the 5th stage, Sky Meadows. This is the place you will always go once you've reached stage 5, and you'll notice that there is an abundance of chests, shrines, altars, and various other things to help you beef up your character. You may also notice that there is a much larger variety of enemies, as well as a teleporter that looks a bit odd. This is the Primordial Teleport. It will take you to the 6th and final stage of your run, Commencement. Now, I'm not going to tell you what goes on in Commencement because, well, I want this video to at least be newcomer friendly in the beginning. However, we will touch on some more spoilery stuff when I go over the achievements. This is how a basic run will typically go, but if you figure stuff out or stumble across something within the stages, you can uncover so many secrets, like new characters, hidden realms, secret bosses, and much more. Alright, now that we've gone over the basics, let's talk about these guys, aka the survivors. Each survivor has various unique skills and abilities that suit multiple different playstyles, and you can unlock more abilities for each survivor as you complete more and more challenges and progress further through the game. Originally, I was going to go over each survivor individually, but frankly, that's just going to take too long and it's going to feel like I'm reading off of a list. So instead, I'm going to be going over the default survivors or the survivors that you have unlocked at the start, as well as a few of my favorites. First up, we have the Commando, who is kind of I'm not going to lie. This guy is best described as a singular scoop of vanilla ice cream. He is basic. I mean, my god, you have generic dual-wield pistols, and one of your abilities is a tactical dive, which is essentially just a barrel roll. However, the Commando is good for newcomers since he's simple to understand, has a decent amount of starting health, and has a pretty good range for his weapons. Also, he's the reason why we have this beautiful meme right here that gave me a bit of a chuckle. I don't know, I just like it. Like I said, he's great for newcomers, however, you're gonna get bored with him pretty fast. So, if you don't have any characters unlocked and you want something a little bit more unique, then I suggest going with the Huntress. She's an incredibly fast but fragile character that lets you zoom around the map using her blink ability. Her starting primary is a bow that locks onto enemies and does 150% damage per shot. I'd say the Commando's pistols have a way better range than the Huntress's bow. However, the bow does 50% more damage. Plus, her starting secondary is way better for crowd control, and the Huntress's ultimate is way more interesting and better for large groups compared to the commando. That being said, both pale in comparison to our next survivor, the railgunner. She's one of my favorite survivors to play as, not just because of the overwhelming damage she dishes out, but the pure nostalgia she provides for me every time I fire her secondary and I have to do a Gears of War style quick reload. The Railgunner is a high damage, long range survivor with a primary that fires off 4 homing rounds per second, a secondary that lets you zoom in and blast enemies from long range, and a supercharged special that deals 4,000% damage. However, it does disable all weapons for 5 seconds. One of the main things I really like to do with the Railgunner is use her concussion devices to just launch myself forward or up an obstacle. But I like it even more if I can get dumbass enemies to fly off edges while using it. The Railgunner is great, but doesn't really provide much of a challenge, especially compared to my next favorite survivor, the Mercenary. He's a skill-based melee character and the speediest of speedy boys, having a special that makes you invincible while you're darting around killing multiple enemies, and a utility that lets you dash through enemies up to 3 times if you're able to hit your targets, which kind of incentivizes performing combos. Or if there's no enemies around, you could use these kind of like the Huntress's blink ability so that you can traverse faster through the environments. His primary lets you slash a sword for 130% damage, and the Mercenary's secondary lets you do a spin attack where you slash enemies for 200% damage. Funny enough, I used to hate playing as the Mercenary and would usually opt for the loader if I wanted to play melee, since I could swing around bashing enemies' heads in and just bulldoze through large hordes. Then something broke in me while trying to obtain all the achievements for the Mercenary, and now I have the need for speed. But you know who doesn't have the need for speed? The last of my favorites we'll be covering in this video, the Engineer. He's kinda slow but very tanky, and most of the time you'll be relying on your deployable gadgets in order to survive. Seriously, all you really need to do with this guy is grab some bustling fungus, deploy your sentry turrets, and drop your bubble shield. Then you're just chillin'. That isn't to say the Engineer is defenseless without them though. He does have a primary that shoots bouncing grenades, and if you charge it up, you can fire 8 of those bad boys for 100% damage each. It's just, well, the turrets are so much nicer. He also has these pressure mines that are really nice for placing outside of the bubble, so that way no enemies can get in without taking at least a little bit of damage. However, your survivor's abilities as well as the XP you earn can only take you so far. So if you don't want to get one-shotted like these little shits, you're gonna need items. And there's a lot of them. In fact, there's 171 items if you include equipment. And for the sake of my sanity, as well as yours, I'm just going to be going over the categories of items, of which there are 7, instead of going over each individual item. So with that out of the way, let's get into commons, which are the easiest to obtain and extremely useful when you stack them. For example, crit goggles give your attacks a 10% chance of dealing double damage or crit damage, and Paul's Goat Hoof gives you an additional 14% movement speed. So if you were able to stack each of these items 10 times, then you would be doing crit damage 100% of the time, and you would have 140% movement speed. Uncommons are slightly rarer than commons, and in most cases provide more power with less of a need to stack them. Then there are legendaries, which are incredibly hard to obtain compared to the previous 2 categories. However, they require little to no stacking and provide immense amount of power. This ranges from an item that can reduce skill cooldown by 25%, all the way to a white bear that can literally bring you back from the dead. Or if you're looking for something that benefits damage a bit more, you could get Laser Scope, which has your critical strikes deal an additional 100% damage. Oh my god, it's so nice. Commons, uncommons, legendaries, they're all pretty simple to know what you're getting in terms of power. However, the other 4 categories are where things get interesting. Boss items or yellow items are uncommon rewards for defeating teleporter bosses. They can't be obtained from chests, and each item is imbued with the power of a boss's signature attack or characteristic. Lunar items or blue items give you insane abilities. However, they all have drawbacks to them. Want to charge up the teleporter faster? Well, then the zone is going to be reduced by 50%. Want to do 100% more base damage like the swole boy you are? Well, then your health is going to get cut in half. Now let's move on to the newest category that was added in the Survivors of the Void DLC. Void items. These are essentially alternate or corrupted versions of some of the common, uncommon, legendaries, and boss items that you can already get in the game. The real twist to void items is how they corrupt every uncorrupted version of the item that you've picked up. I think what makes these items so great is that they make other items actually useful for certain survivors. You're not gonna use bustling fungus for someone like the Huntress or the Mercenary because they're highly mobile characters and that item requires you to stand still in order for it to work. But if you do a little dark magic, then bam, you have a bustling fungus that works while you're sprinting instead of while you're idle. And finally, we have equipment, which are actually the only active items you can pick up during your run. Now, I realized I didn't really explain what active items were, so allow me to elaborate. Active items are like your primary, secondary, special. You need to press a button in order to activate the ability. Equipment, just like the other categories, has a large range of abilities. You can heal yourself, fire a one-shot at a boss to get a boss item, as well as take him out, and even summon a clone of yourself to fight alongside you for a short period of time. All in all, items are just straight up helpful. They make every run feel different, and that's the beauty of Risk of Rain 2. There's so many things the game offers in terms of replayability. I mean, hell, this game even has collectibles that provide insight on the lore, as well as artifacts, which are kind of like skulls in Halo. Artifacts can make the game easier, harder, or just straight up goofy. Hell, I even used one for this video, Artifact to Command, so that I could get footage for some of the items I talked about. That artifact definitely makes the game easier, since although the colors are still randomized, you can pick which item you want from said color. Once you obtain an artifact, you can find it in the menu over here, but you can also experience them in prismatic trials. Oh shit, I never talked about prismatic trials. Oh, I never talked about the other game modes. Okay, Risk of Rain 2 offers 3 alternative game modes, one of which being prismatic trials. This is a special solos only mode where players will compete to get the fastest time, completing 2 stages by destroying purple crystals and going through the teleporter. In this mode, you run through fixed seeds, meaning that nothing is randomized. However, the trial will swap every 3 days so that you're not playing in the exact same environments with the exact same artifacts. I used to think this game mode was fun until I had to get an achievement for a certain someone, and now I just want to move on. Eclipse is a pretty straightforward game mode in which you are given more and more debuffs for every successful run you make, up to 8 debuffs. This game mode can get pretty challenging, and some of the debuffs are a real pain in the ass, like Eclipse level 4, where fall damage is increased by 100% and fatal. I've only played this game mode a handful of times, but it's pretty fun from what I've played. However, I have spent a decent amount of time in our final game mode, Simulacrum. Simulacrum? I don't know, I probably got it wrong. This mode is from the Survivors of the Void DLC, and how it works is somewhat similar to the Void Fields. You stay within this bubble, trying to survive against countless waves of enemies. If you leave said bubble, you'll be constantly taking damage, so you'll want to grab any items that are outside as quickly as possible. Once you successfully complete a wave, an item will spawn that you can pick up, free of charge. As I said before, I've spent a decent amount of time in this mode. However, I have to admit, it's not as fun as the Void Fields. but it's still a good time. All right, let's finally talk about achievements. More specifically, the ones that I found to be the easiest, as well as the 3 I struggled with the most. Without a doubt, most of the achievements involving unlocking characters, as well as most of the achievements involving unlocking equipment, were the easiest for me. That being said, I do remember 2 achievements that gave me a little bit of a hard time, one from unlocking equipment and the other from unlocking a survivor. The equipment one was redacted. And yes, I have been made fun of for not getting this one sooner. For those of you who don't know, you unlock Redacted by opening a timed security chest on Rally Point Delta. I'm a loot goblin, nay, a loot degenerate, who gets distracted very easily. So it took me a while to resist the urge to take an item over saving time, okay? However, I will admit, it's probably easier for most people to get the damn achievement. So let's just move on. On the survivor's side, it was power plant, which is where you have to take a fuel array that was strapped to the drop pod and bring it to Rex in one of the stages. This didn't necessarily take me that long. However, I do remember getting kind of annoyed because I attempted it 4 times. And 2 of the times, the thing blew up. And the other 2, I didn't make it to the location where Rex was. I remember one of my attempts very vividly. I was on the stage where Rex was. I had the fuel array. I just needed to make it up to him. Right when I was about to do that, it blew up. Did this achievement take me longer than it should have? Probably. Did I get Rex on my 5th try? I'm not sure. But I have him now, so fuck you, Rex. Now that I think about it, the achievements for unlocking artifacts was also kind of easy, since my friend told me some of the codes, and then I got lazy and just decided to use the wiki. I mean, can you blame me? I'm pretty sure half of the people that unlock those achievements use the damn wiki. All right, now let's talk about the 3 achievements that halted my progress on 100% in this game for months. The first one was Rex Dunked. This one required you to play as Rex and throw a Dune Strider into the pit in Abandoned Aqueduct. This one I'm going to go right ahead and blame one of my friends for, since he kept using broken builds and would consistently play with me. So every time I'd get to a Dune Strider, he would kill it. It got so bad that during the run where I finally got the achievement, we had him stand on this ledge so that he wouldn't kill anything. So for anyone who's trying to 100% this game, yeah, definitely do this one solo. The second hurdle I had to overcome was Mercenary Ethereal, which is the sole reason why I don't really care for prismatic trials anymore. Out of the 3, this definitely took the longest and was the most difficult for 2 reasons. One is the fact that I kind of sucked with the mercenary at the time. I'm not gonna lie. I never used him really, except for to get the other achievements. The second reason was all the bullshit trials. There were so many where there were artifacts that just absolutely screwed over anyone who was trying to do this achievement. Every time I would hop on, I would constantly see that the prismatic trial would involve double fall damage that can also be lethal, as well as enemies drop bombs on death. Thankfully, I had a really nice friend who shared with me that the prismatic trial that day was actually pretty easy. And he sent me a link to a video to show me how to do it. I did it, and we were done with it. But man, that thing took months to finally get a good prismatic trial. If you plan on going for this achievement, I highly recommend looking into the YouTuber Cabbage for some help. He constantly does prismatic trial runs and posts them on his channel. So seriously, check him out. He'll help you out immensely. The third hurdle and the last achievement I unlocked in Risk of Rain 2 was the demons and the crabs. This one requires you to kill 20 hermit crabs by scaring them off an edge. Every single time I attempted this one, the crabs wouldn't get scared. They would stay in the ground. Why won't you come out of the ground? Also, I sometimes would forget what I was trying to do and would grab items that would maybe kill them. But after several tries and a whole lot of bullshit, I finally 100%ed the game. And man, does it feel good. To wrap things up, I love Risk Rain 2. It has incredibly fun and addictive gameplay with a kick ass soundtrack to go alongside it. There's loads of things to do in this game, some of which I didn't even talk about. And whether you're playing solo or co op, you're gonna have a fun time with it. I mean, I've spent 300 hours in this game and unlocked every single achievement. Yet it still feels like there's so much more for me to discover. If you haven't played Risk Rain 2 yet, I strongly suggest doing so. You can pick it up on all the major platforms, although PC is the only one that has the Survivors of the Void DLC as of recording. And that's all I really have to say, so let's move on to the outro. Thank you guys so much for watching. This video took a really long time to make. I wanted to do something kind of special for this game since I just really enjoyed my time with it. Also, let me know if you guys want to see more stuff with the green screen. I've been dying to do more with it ever since the Biomutant video, and I figured now was a great time. But yeah, thank you guys so much again for watching this video on a game that I absolutely love. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking up Risk Rain 2. And if you already have it, let me know what your favorite survivor is. I'm genuinely curious. Also, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.